If you treated your business like your 401k, you would have all the retirement money that you could possibly imagine right now. I'm going to ask you a very brutal question about your 401k, and that is, why do you trust it so much? You dump money into that thing every 2 weeks for decades. Set it and forget it. And you are totally willing to accept that you will not see any type of a payoff 30 to 40 years from now. But when it comes to your business, when it comes to building a business, something of your own that could outpace that 401k tenfold in a shorter amount of time, you have no faith in yourself. You don't trust yourself. The second that that business does not blow up in 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months, what do? You pivot. You look at something else. You let shiny objects run your life. And you do this over and over and over again. And each time you're doing that, you are literally resetting the clock. When your 401k loses value, or when you don't see it hitting $100,000 in the first 12 months, you don't reset the clock. You don't yank all the money out and pivot and do something different. No, you stick with the plan, the strategy. These two are very, very closely related, and I don't think anybody's ever really put this analogy together. And I think it makes a lot of sense, because if you would simply adopt the mindset that you adopted at 20 in your 20s to business, okay, which is, I know that this is going to work. I feel very confident that if I dump my money in here every 2 weeks, I don't even see it. It comes right out of my paycheck, and I invest in these stocks and bonds and mutual funds, that over a long period of time, I will have a lot of money, and probably, hopefully, enough to retire. And when it comes to your business, you just don't have that mentality. You can't possibly fathom waiting that long for a payoff. So you pivot all the time. Like, well, this didn't work. I knew it did. I knew it wouldn't work. Everyone told me it wouldn't work. And I got to start over, and I got to do something else because it didn't happen fast enough. Here's the cool part. Your skills are compounding this entire time for your business. So if you're working in a job, right, or you're just simply living life and acquiring skills, and you're in your 20s when you start your job, now you're in your 40s, or maybe you're even in your 50s. You have all these skills that have compounded. Like, that's the interest, right? Compounding over a long period of time. That's like starting your 401k with $500,000. And if you would simply just have a strategy and stick to that plan, in 3 to 5 years, if you were to stay the course and not pivot and not give up, you would have a return that your 401k could never possibly deliver. There isn't a possible scenario where a 401k, even if you maxed it out for 30 years, would produce a higher potential return if you were to just to simply stick with one thing for 3 to 5 years and not pivot and not reset the clock. Because that's exactly what you are doing every time that you pivot, and you are chasing these short-term gains. Here's what I want to leave you with in this video, because I know that this is very important, and I know a lot of you are going to connect with this, because you can't argue the fact that a long-term investment into a 401k or any type of a retirement account, as long as you keep putting money into it for a long period of time, it will pay off. Will it be the payoff that you want? Enough money for you to retire? Maybe. But you know that that is going to produce a result. You need to take that same exact mentality to business, and it won't be 30 to 40 years. It'll be a much shorter window, a much shorter timeline. You just need two things. That's it. You need a strategy, and you need to stick with that strategy and not pivot. This is the hardest part of business, is sticking with it, staying with one thing, one idea, one direction, and letting your skills, right? Letting that business compound. And every time you pivot and do something else because you're not seeing the short-term gains that you want, you're resetting the clock and you're starting over. And that is just a fast way for you to get broke. Again, think about it. you are never pulling your money out of your 401k. You know from the get-go, this is a 30 to 40 year situation. And a lot of that is because you're not allowed to take the money out. So think of your business as your 401k. Like, I can't take anything out of this. Like, I just have to keep going. I have to keep compounding. Like, every day I'm putting money into this business, right? I'm doing something to make this business better. And over time, there's no way that you would not see a result. Pivoting crushes every single business. It is not the idea. It is the business owner that wrecks businesses. And that needs to start to shift, that terminology, because too many people think business is risky. No, pivoting is risky. That is the risk. You not being able to stick with one thing for more than 3 months or 6 months or 12 months or whatever your cycle is, because we all have a cycle when we're side hustle hopping. It's a period of time where we get bored, we don't see the result, and we're like, I should probably do something else. And you end up at the same place every single time. And then you just keep going back to step number one, which is I got to pick the new thing that'll make me money faster. And you will always end up at the same exact spot until you push through that spot and you realize that, hey, if I had just stuck with the first idea 5 years ago, I'd be exactly where I want to be right now. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And if you're brand new to the channel, I make a lot of videos like this, and make sure you subscribe. Make it a great day.